Okay. So we don't want anybody to miss out on this. So this will be recorded as of now. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night for some people, I guess. Welcome to Salesforce Marketing Architects Community User Group. Oof, what a mouthful. First session ever. So this is a big day big day for us. Sorry, I'm mumbling by myself. I'm a father of two, and I'm constantly sleep deprived. So forgive me already if I mess things up. We have quite a lineup today. We have two very high caliber experts here with you today, Tim Ziter and Jacob Hayes. They can do their own introductions soon. Just wanted to give one more heads up. I posted in the chat a link for a call for speakers. So after this session, feel free to put your idea or propose your idea, propose yourself, or propose a friend or a colleague as a speaker for future events. I would highly appreciate it because we need quality content in the future to keep this wonderful user group alive. So please bookmark the link from the chat and give your two cents for us, and who knows, we might be in touch and organize something together in the future. But yeah, that's my plug, and then it's off to you, Tim and Jacob.
Well, thanks, Timo. So we're here to talk today about connecting Marketing Cloud Engagement with Agentforce. Jacob, I'll let you do your introductions and we'll go from there.
Going alphabetical. Sounds great. So hi, everybody. Jacob Hayes. I work at Accenture. I'm in our Salesforce business group. I am directly within our financial services space. So I handle everything financial and FinServ for Salesforce, as well as for personalization, not just the platforms, but personalization as a whole, as well as CDPs, not just the platforms, but also the concept of it. But I'm really excited to speak with Tim here today. And as I was saying, where it wasn't recorded yet, so I'll do it as well. A lot of the content here is from Tim and his team, and it's very great content. So I'm going to be adding some color as I can throughout the presentation, but Tim's a rock star. So you're going to learn a lot, hopefully, from him just overall in this presentation. But Tim, now to you.
Thanks, Jacob. So yeah, Tim Ziter, I'm a manager at Cervello, and I'm joined here with Hunter. Had a little bit of a schedule change, so might be joining here and there. He is our tech lead who developed what we'll be showcasing today. So Cervello is a smaller partner, providing marketing automation solutions to clients. So let's talk about what we're going to go over today. Like Jacob said, I think we'll keep it pretty free form, but we wanted to give a little bit of an outline of the different areas. So quickly talking about why you should think about connecting Agentforce with Marketing Cloud Engagement. And then we wanted to give you a range of different ideas. First, we're going to give you the art of the possible, the advanced way. We're going to demo you the journey agent that we presented at TDX. And then depending on, we didn't really know the level of experience on the audience, we wanted to give you, a perspective of thinking about that connectivity from a more beginner and an intermediate level. So we'll go through, in the platform and Marketing Cloud, just doing a basic exercise of showing how that Marketing Cloud Connect works natively with Salesforce or Agentforce and Marketing Cloud Engagement. And then also a little bit more of an intermediate exercise, doing an API call using Postman to Marketing Cloud Engagement, just so you can see what the complexity will be showing you on the, with the advanced side with the journey agent. And then we'll give you some tips at the end on how to get started or start thinking about that connectivity with Agentforce into Marketing Cloud Engagements, and some question and answers after that. So why should you be thinking about, Agentforce and Marketing Cloud Engagement? We pulled a couple of these stats from a recent AI article. Marketing tasks, a lot of these are going to be automated for those who are in the marketing cloud engagement environment. That could translate to all of those tasks that we do on a daily basis, whether that's building data extensions or SQL queries, automations, journeys. All of that work is available. Some of us may have been automating that in the past, and obviously via API call, what we'll be showing today can be, agents can be doing that line of work. So I think it's important to, sort of put that on your roadmap and, think about where that could lead you. A lot of people are saying that that's going to eliminate, 47% of marketers say that the AI is going to eliminate more jobs than it creates. So just something to be thinking about and have that future thought in mind. And then a lot of these marketing teams don't really have that AI roadmap. And I think just within the Salesforce platform, I think we could all, just narrowly think about a roadmap where we might be in Marketing Cloud Engagement now, but with the launch of Growth and Advance on Core, maybe we develop our own roadmap where we might be looking to make that migration as Salesforce makes that shift, if that makes sense. So, thinking about that type of a roadmap narrowly within the Salesforce platform, and then, as we all probably do, looking at our marketing automation in a maturity scale of, crawl, walk, run, and making sure that aligns with our roadmap. So hopefully, this topic is top of mind. I'm sure we're all thinking about how AI is going to improve our work, especially within the marketing automation space. And I think we all have an incredible opportunity with the capability that is in Agentforce to have it impact us immediately. I don't know if others feel the same way, but I feel like some of these tools, it's hard to get the actual results, get your hands involved in these platforms, and I think Agentforce makes that super simple and easy to do.
So just a couple of other notes, Tim, before you jump into the journey agent. So within that slide, I think these are great quotes. A couple of things that I'm seeing just out in the market, because one of my pieces that I wanted to add to this presentation was, well, how is this actually working? From the enterprises down to the mid-markets. I think most, if not all of my conversations, which I'm sure someone's going to laugh, I still have conversations to this day with enterprise companies where they're asking me, what's Einstein in Marketing Cloud Engagement and what features do I get? And a lot of it is, well, there's predictive pieces, but does it have generative? And then when we start just talking about send time optimization or content optimization with tagging structures, they go, oh, that's very cool. The reason why I'm saying that is in that maturity scale piece that Tim's talking about, everyone wants to get to agent, basically MCP context protocols, talking to one another, having something occur in HubSpot or Core AI that is triggering something in Marketing Cloud Engagement. That's great. Those people are all over there and they're a small number. I think we need to start talking to folks in the ways where they can instantly start to scale using what they are already paying for in their technology stack. And so I'm sure someone has had that same conversation. If not, you'll have one probably next week now that I've put it out into the universe. And then the other item that I wanted to add to this is I disagree with the second one, but that's just because I always like to throw another layer into a slide. When we always say 47% of marketers are going to lose their jobs, I always say, yeah, maybe. But if you start to actually leverage AI to make your day better, you'll go around that number pretty quickly. And what do I mean by that? AI, to also what Tim is going to show, and when I say AI, I'm talking about actual agentic AI itself. It's just an augment or a tool in your toolkit. And I think all of us as either architects or technical architects need to start thinking, where can I leverage Agentforce in my build as one of those solution options now? And then obviously going through our pros and cons path of cost, productivity, adoption, etc. And so those are my only two pieces to add there. But Tim, anything else from your side, since we're going to ebb and flow this a little bit?
That's awesome. No, Jacob, those great comments. Great thoughts. Cool. Awesome. All right, so let's go to the little bit more advanced use case of the integration between Agentforce and Marketing Cloud Engagement. So we built this proof of concept, TDX, in March. Hunter and I had presenting at TDX a couple of times the last couple of years related to AI. And when we were preparing for this presentation, we were like, okay, what could we come up with from a conceptual standpoint that would, talk about the connectivity between these two platforms and talk about, where Agentforce can take you. So I was immediately, as a journey builder, I thought that, what if there's a way that we can, automate building journeys? So when I brought this to Hunter, he, immediately asked, well, what features would a journey builder, want in an agent? And, we were like, let's see how much we can push this agent to not just create, assets, but also take action. And something that resonated at TDX was Salesforce's approach to, take this little mini roadmap that they are developing for agents, where it goes from, just answering questions to taking action, more reactively, but also thinking about how can we take that action proactively. All around this theme of those people who are using Agentforce primarily are connected to those systems on core, but has that integration between Agentforce and Marketing Cloud so that no matter where you are on the Salesforce platform, that you can use Agentforce. So the exercise we went through to determine all the different features and functionality of this journey, we did a whiteboarding session, pulled in some of our clients, and just threw down, hey, what are all the different possible use cases that you'd like to have built into this agent? So at the top, we thought about content development, marketing automation, ops, sales, data intelligence, and then just threw out different ideas. So like on content development, one-to-one personalized content, even personalized journey design on a one-to-one basis. And just, brainstormed all those ideas. And then we took each one of those ideas and graphed it on this scale, looking at their overall impact from low to high, and then the ease of implementation, from difficult to easy. And what bubbled up to the top was the personalized journey design. Having the agent determine, each one of those activities, not only standing up a journey, but customizing it on a one-to-one basis. We also wanted to add a couple more features and functionality to the journey, advanced segmentation, one-to-one personalized content, and next best action. So that was the framework for what we wanted to build based on that research. And then let me jump into and show you how it works. Again, this is just a proof of concept.
Tim, as you're jumping into that, I'll give you a little runway because there were a couple of good questions in the chat from Adam. And so Adam, I think really good questions. The first one, which was asked, like, what's the consensus that we're seeing in the Marketing Cloud and Agentforce interactions and where they're taking place? I think one of the pieces that we started to see is, I don't know, Tim, if you have a similar thought process here, is a lot of it is happening outside of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud or Marketing Cloud Engagement environments. They're happening if they have to talk to a customer, they're happening on external channels, websites, etc. Or what I'm starting to see more and more is the agent-to-agent frameworks, whether they're actually agent-to-agent frameworks or just API call starting processes, but they're happening like Adobe Workfront or Adobe processes to do content creation or content process updates that then inform the ESP or the actual then channel of Salesforce. And then I think he also had a second piece that was really good, which was who's doing the work. And I think I have a really bad answer, which even he responded, is if you're working in Agentforce, you're going to have core knowledge. But I think to Tim's earlier point in the slides before, most of all of us are going to have to start understanding core really well, given the shift of where Salesforce is going. So yeah, Tim, anything to add to those? I just thought it was a good question to pause on.
Yeah, really good question. I think to your point, having that core experience, hopefully, most of us can get the exposure, in the past to those environments where, you got the MC Connect to a Salesforce Sales Cloud or a Service Cloud, maybe in financial services cloud environment where you've got that connectivity, you've had that exposure, which we'll be showcasing today in some of the beginner and intermediate use cases. So hopefully we've all had a taste of those two platforms working together. And then I think just really the bridging the gap of the functionality that's available that we all know and love in Marketing Cloud Engagement, the limitations that you have on the core side, especially with Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced, and when will that gap narrow on all that end? And then, as far as the use cases that we're seeing that we're working with clients on with these agents, I think it covers. We've seen it resonate in three areas. One is your traditional sales service model, where this is the use case. Well, not this use case, but we've stood up use cases where you're using the agents to facilitate their sales process as a Salesforce user, right? They're managing their contacts, they're managing their leads. You're using Marketing Cloud Engagement as a way for them to communicate. It's sort of like an improved version of distributed marketing. Still a fantastic product, but bringing in the AI component in that end. So that's the first part is, the sales team or service. The second audience, which we're going to show today, is someone more in a marketing capacity who's using the tool to facilitate segmentation, their marketing planning. They're doing that on core and leveraging the tool to help facilitate the building that you might do on the Marketing Cloud Engagement side, maybe 100%, maybe 10%. So that's that second audience. And then the third audience is the end user itself, right? So someone who's looking to, you're serving up that capability where they're going on a chat bot, they're going to the website, and they're interacting, with an Experience Cloud environment or a third-party web platform, and the actions that agent's looking to take is also involving Marketing Cloud Engagement, where it might be dropping them into a lead nurture journey, or might be serving them up to a landing page that's a custom cloud page that can't be handled on that third-party web system. So I think those three areas are the big areas of the work that's being done that we're finding that clients are engaging with. And I think the interest level is on all three of those areas, not specifically in one. We were just talking with a client yesterday, and they were, through the roof excited about the operational side of Agentforce and how that could impact, also tied to Marketing Cloud Engagement. So I don't know if that answered that question, but
I have a couple of other examples, but I want Tim to be able to show the demo. So Timo, remind us in the Q&A when we get to it. We'll come through more, or basically other examples for Adam and others in the chat of what I'm also seeing in financial services for enterprises. But Tim, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Okay, so here's the use case where we've got, say you're a marketing manager, and you're looking to put together a campaign for your contacts. So I'm in a campaign that was created. Now the agent will create the campaign as well, but we're sort of taking a couple of steps into the agent process just because we're limited in time. So many of us may have seen the simplicity of these chat windows. So you just go anywhere you're in the Salesforce, click on the Agentforce icon, and I'm gonna simply type give me all the contacts with a lifetime value greater than $1,000. So the agents, looking through all those contacts, it might be determining, we probably have a field or a number of different fields on that contact object to determine that lifetime value. And here's, this is in the test environment. There's 3 contacts that appear that meet that criteria. again, here's that segmentation. It's a very simple use case, but just to showcase the capability. And then we're just going to simply say add them to this campaign. You don't have to specify the campaign. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the campaign itself. It's all taking the information from the chat window. So it's taking all of these contacts, adding to the campaign, and starting to use the prompt to create different data points that might influence the journey itself. So it might be creating custom email content, might be choosing from CMS the appropriate images, might choose data points that might impact the different decision splits in the journey itself. So now they've been added to the campaign. And all we're going to say is add them to a journey. Now the agent, your traditional method where you add a campaign member to a journey and that's hooked up to a journey that's triggered in Marketing Cloud, the agent's doing its thinking and building that journey on an action by action basis. So let me just go into Marketing Cloud. We'll go into Journey Builder, and let me just refresh my screen. So it's that journey, confident retirement planning, 9:27 a.m. It was just created. Let's take a look at this journey. So, not just a basic journey, it's a pretty complicated journey. So that API call is creating that, Salesforce data entry event based on that campaign member. It's creating the email, not only creating, the email, but fully personalizing the email from top to bottom based on the different criteria that's coming in. Talking about that reactive step, it's using the update campaign member status to pass that value back to the campaign so the agent knows, where they are in the journey, and so it can read and react, as through the journey. It's determining the, decision split. So to determine, what factor is going to indicate whether this person is engaged with the journey or not. If they have engaged, it will determine, what's the next follow-up, whether that's email, SMS, or whatever, creating that email. And then if they have engaged, they're moving on, they'll move them on to the next journey, the next communication path. So complicated, very complicated journey, all determined by the agent, all those key pieces and parts. So question, are you duplicating a journey? Creating one, yeah, so absolutely. Creating the journey each time there's a series of API calls. I mean, this is all based on the Marketing Cloud API or API documentation, creating the entry event, creating the data extension. Each one of those activities in the journey itself are separate API calls based on the data that's coming in from all the different data points in Contact Builder.
You've gotten a lot of questions all of a sudden, Tim. I think you're spiking with interest.
Did the agent also build the sales SFMC contact model in the mid-journey bit? Yeah, it's determining, for the decision split, it certainly could build a custom attribute. In this example, it's probably using a data point on the contact synchronized data extension to determine whether they've been responded or not, but certainly an option to do.
I think if I can go just a layer deeper there, Tim, the question is, should you? I would say, and then this is where I guess I'm the old school marketer in the house. I want more control and flexibility in me creating that contact model in Data Designer, as well as creating my own data extension path. But you could, to Tim's point, you could you could have the agent help build out the framework. And obviously you're going to go through testing to do this for you. Then it comes to how much control do you want to give away? Right, Tim? Or anything I said there was wrong?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, this is the art of the possible, and we all know as journey builders, the situations where you're going to be able to create content that's completely AI generated. All of these past, Jai and agent, all these different data points. It's hard just to turn this on and feel confident that's going to do. So I totally agree with Jacob that it's a great tool to help assist marketers. Could start off with a very basic use case, which is just to provide information to, follow-up information, or look to see if you could, a thank you message could be very straightforward. But I think it's something to consider to utilize in your tool set. You could, like Jacob said, you could use it from a QA standpoint. You could use it as a stir process where we're going to create the journey. As you can see in this one, it has not been activated. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And I think, the whole framework of this presentation is to start from the basics. We wanted to show you the art of the possible. If we've got time, maybe outline a couple examples of how you can, understand the relationship between these two platforms. And start simple, make sure building that strong foundation before you go to this level. But I think it's just good to understand the capabilities, that can be handled.
I think one other thing, if it's okay, Tim, if you were back in the CRM, so one of the things that we're starting to see is not everyone wants to do the conversational AI component of Agentforce. A lot of them want to say, in any of those processes that Tim was showing, I want to just incorporate the agent as a step in an already established flow or a process that we've actually created in CRM. We're starting to see Omni and Flex scripts themselves triggering the actions to be done by the agent in the back end. Now, again, how much control do you want to give away? But that starts to be very interesting on everything Tim was showing with the campaigns. So if I already have a flow that's pulling from a report to add all of these leads or potential contacts into that campaign, and then I want to trigger over, I could actually just have a button click, which the quick action triggers to start that process, similar to what we've done in the past, to actually call the agent and now have the API make the agent do the rest of the pieces that Tim was talking about. There are some interesting things being done, but a lot of it is art of the possible, to Tim's point.
Let's see, a couple of questions in the chat. Yeah, about it's a big risk for sure. Some import errors that might occur. Very, very good point. Again, I think it's something you might start out with a simple use case to build it out, and then obviously testing it would make sense. Yeah, so the instruction basically, create a journey based on this campaign. So it's based on different topics and actions in the agent itself, and it's using Apex to make all those APIs to create the journey. So pretty straightforward, or not straightforward there, but a little bit more on the art of the possible. Yeah, see here that speed up the work it takes a marketer to set up an end-to-end DM campaign. Yeah, no, that can be the thing that could be helpful. Like Jacob said, we talked about. I think if you find the right use case, we've worked with clients where they're setting up a lead nurture template for different use cases, different products, and if you've got a pretty standard journey with specific specific steps, specific requirements, you could have it where the agent creates that start journey, and then you have a QA team that comes in, and they might use Agentforce to make those changes and those updates.
Just based on time, there's a lot of other questions, but I think we'll save them for the Q&A, Tim.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacob. And then just one point, Timo, on the governor limits, what we've heard from Salesforce and Marketing Cloud that these are, because they're native, they shouldn't really impact governor limits too much, but definitely something to double check with your AE on.
It's part of your QA process, to Tim's point. Like, you have to double check how many potential calls are going to be done for these use cases. I have heard the same thing, Tim, but I always trust. I verify, not just trust. So I would think you would have to run through that as you're doing your QA and your verifications itself. I just sounded like a really bad consultant there. I'm sorry.
No, awesome. So we've got Hunter joined the call, and I wanted to pass it over to Hunter. He's the who built the journey. He also can answer these questions a little bit better than I could as well, and also cover a couple of slides based on to hear more from his point of view from a technical standpoint. And Timo, I don't know if
you may have to let Hunter in as a speaker.
Just a second. There you go.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So sorry that I'm late. I thought the session was at 10 and was commuting into the office, and then I just opened my machine and saw a bunch of messages from Tim saying it was at 9. Can I please join? So I'm very sorry, everyone.
No, my apologies.
But I guess I'm giving background to the thing that you guys have already seen at this point, but that's fine. Essentially, I think the arc that Tim and I have been taking in the course of figuring out ways to better leverage Marketing Cloud and AI is similar to a lot of other organizations. Starting at the ground level, how do we integrate LLMs with Salesforce? So this is what we initially started out with, was like, I'm going to directly integrate Salesforce with ChatGPT, start to leverage that logic machine to make my apps smarter. From there, Salesforce has been like rapidly releasing new products and functionality, and so translated a lot of the direct point-to-point integrations that we've been building and started using Prompt Builder, which keeps us within the Salesforce trust layer, et cetera. From there, building much more complex integrations with AI, from the ground up with RAG applications and vector databases, which again, Salesforce is now providing you functionality that you can just bring that completely on platform through Data Cloud and Prompt Builder. And where we stand today is leveraging Agentforce to use a completely in-house Salesforce LLM solution. And we're working on all the different ways that we can integrate that with marketing, sales, customer service. But in the context of this conversation, really focused on marketing specific use cases. And this is going to become a bigger thing for marketers. We're going to keep seeing more and more functions of the marketer that are going to be augmented by AI. I don't think they're going to be replaced by AI, but I think there are going to be, marginal improvements that we're able to achieve through agents. So, Tim, what other slides did I have here? All right, so I'll talk about what we built with the Journey agent. Have you talked about any of this at all, Tim, in the setup? Okay, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, we conceptually covered it, Hunter, but I think people are probably going to ask for a little bit of deep dive.
Okay. So this is a little bit about just Agentforce in general. As of now, Agentforce utilizes a React architecture, reason and act. And the agent's going to accept a set of inputs, and it's going to assess all of the actions that it has available to it. And then it's going to determine if it can call an action. And so that's in the middle box there. When you're looking at the agent architecture, there's think and then act. And so what it's going to do is it'll think. I don't know if anybody's brought up the actual Agentforce interface yet, but when you are interacting with an agent in the agent builder, you can see the steps that the agent is going through. You can see how it's processing a request you might make and how it's thinking through, okay, I've got these options. These are the instructions I've been given. What can I actually do? And then should I do it? And then it will act and it'll actually go ahead and do it. Next slide. Do we have anything? Yeah, okay. So this is like how we thought about the architecture of this journey agent. So I just talked about inputs and actions. And like a lot of time when you're interacting with a chatbot, it's just like it's text to text, right? Like write me a poem about whatever, springtime, and it writes you a poem and sends it back. And with Agentforce, I think everybody's probably aware of this. We break that third wall and we allow the agent to actually start doing things against your database. And so when we think about the different actions that we're going to make available to that agent to do things against our Salesforce or Marketing Cloud database, we think in terms of actions, and each action has a set of inputs. Then it has a set of things that it can actually do to our database, whether that be read, write, or update. And then we need to think about what we want that agent to actually send back to us once it's completed its action. And so with the journey agent, we had, I think, 5 kind of core things that we wanted it to be able to do. We needed to be able to get records. So can you go find contacts that are in the system, or find campaigns that are in the system? Can you create campaigns if there's not one that's going to work for us? Can you add those contacts to a campaign? Can you add those contacts? Sorry, I screwed up the sequence here. Can you create a new campaign in the system, and then can you add those contacts as campaign members to the campaign? And then finally, can you add a journey? And so you can see for each of these, we've kind of diagrammed out in pretty simple boxes and arrows. Are we updating Salesforce? Are we updating Marketing Cloud? What are the objects that we're interacting with? And then what are we going to get back once the action is completed?
Any questions for Hunter? And he developed this. You've got a seasoned developer here from not only on the Marketing Cloud side, but on the Salesforce side. Any questions for Hunter before we move on?
Lots of questions, but I don't know if they're directly specific to this right now. There's a lot of really good thinking going on and brainstorming in the chat, which I love.
Hunter's opinion about Marketing Cloud work being done in CRM. What's your opinion, Hunter?
Oh yeah, it's good.
I think that for heavy-duty Marketing Cloud consultants and developers, they need to open up Marketing Cloud and use Marketing Cloud. I think for basic use cases where we want to keep the user in one application and not have them need to jump between different apps, it can be really helpful to not have to context shift and be able to leverage their core system of record.
Is there an upskill moment though, Hunter, that you would recommend for folks?
I think you need to understand at least I'll speak within the context of a journey specific agent that we built. You need to understand how journeys work, and you need to understand the type of journey that you're creating. So the journey that we've built the hard-coded path of you're going to send one email, then you're going to wait 2 days, and if you haven't gotten a response, you're going to send another email. Very simple and basic, right? I think the ideal state of this thing is to be able to give people the ability to add different nodes to that journey. And if you are going to be adding nodes to the journey dynamically, you need to have a really good understanding of how journeys work to begin with. So I think marketing cloud understanding and expertise is important.
I'll add one piece to that, Hunter. So everything you had said, I agree with. And then it's take off your technology hat for a second and put the customer back in the center of what you're trying to do. A lot of the times, especially with a couple of my clients right now, they go really in the weeds with the development of doing a very complex journey over large periods, with some in financial services. And I go, but what is the customer getting from it? And that why statement seems to trip up a lot of marketers, at least in the enterprise space that I'm in, which surprises me. But I think to add to Hunter's point there, like, you need to understand how the journey is created from the technical lens, but you also need to understand how, when, and where do you want to communicate to your customer in that journey framework, along with the sales and service piece of it, since those other members are actually stakeholders are in this process as well. All right, time check, Tim. We have,
Thank you, Jacob.
I think we have
Yep.
13 minutes left before the top of the hour.
We'll whip through these slides pretty quickly. Just wanted to to maybe sort of resonate or respond to the question of how should you, if you're a developer or if you're a marketer and you need to get that familiarity with Marketing Cloud, if you are looking to build out and integrate with Agentforce into Marketing Cloud Engagement. So we'll just cover 2 slides. We gave 2 examples of how you want to get familiarized with the current. We'll start with the current native integration, the Marketing Cloud Connect, right? So the native connectivity, which pulls in the objects into Marketing Cloud from Salesforce, and also allows you to update objects in journeys. So think about using this use case to get yourself familiar, whichever role you're in, right? If you're a marketer, a functional person in Marketing Cloud, or if you're a developer, more Salesforce experience, it wouldn't take you long just to get in this, to work this use case. So create a campaign in Salesforce CRM, create a Salesforce data-fed journey in Marketing Cloud, that is triggered when you drop a campaign member into that campaign. It'll naturally pull them into that journey, and you can send them that email. That is the native integration between Salesforce and Marketing Cloud. You don't have to involve any tech. It's all clicks, no code. A very easy way to understand the native relationship that part of what Hunter built behind the scenes. But again, getting that understanding from that standpoint. So, we were just sort of going to walk through, but we won't go through that today. The next is a little bit more of intermediate step, where to get a familiarity of how API calls, the solution that Hunter built was a series of API calls using in Apex, integrated, making those API calls directly into Marketing Cloud. So, an example that you could use to get a familiarity of how that works in Marketing Cloud would be to either build for the consumer goods side, people normally build a abandoned cart triggered send or a journey API event, where you might use a tool like Postman to get the credentials from Marketing Cloud from that install package. And then you can just make those API calls from Postman, or if you wanted to build it in Apex, to do a specific job. Like in this case, you're just doing a trigger send, which is based on the API developer documentation. There's syntax on how to do that from your API call in Postman. And you're doing a simple function, which is populating a row in a data extension that fires a triggered send. Or it activates just the entry event of a journey. It's not building out all the different nodes like Hunter said. And that's, standard process that we all do as journey builders now, but gives you the ability to understand the API integration from, Salesforce or a third-party tool into Marketing Cloud. So definitely recommend that just to get that exposure. Again, it helps both the functional person in Marketing Cloud and also that developer in Sales Cloud to get an understanding of that. When we work with Hunter and his team, when their process on building out those API calls, they'll leverage something like a Postman to figure out each one of those steps in Postman. First one is to for the journey agent, create the data extension, create the entry event, create each one of those nodes, isolate each one of those API calls in the code, and then you can fold that into the Apex code once it's working independently from Postman. So it's really the building blocks to do that. Again, if we had time, we would walk through how to do that in Postman. But yeah, let's wrap it up. I know we're running out of time. A couple of tips that I can share, but I know Jacob, Hunter would like to get your thoughts as well. But just iterating on that last couple of points, understanding that native connectivity or some of those basics, the beginner intermediate steps, I think goes a long way to understand the integration that you might look to do or build between Agentforce and Marketing Cloud Engagement. So I don't know, Hunter, Jacob, any tips or thoughts on how to get started?
I think from my side, because I think I'll round it out with Hunter going technical, unless he's not going to, then this will be weird. But from my side, I always try to take the beginner mindset. I know that sounds weird, but in every conversation I have with my customers and my clients, I'm trying to go back to like 8th grade biology to understand the scientific method so that I understand what's the outcome we're trying to do? What does our experimentation path look like? And in the Agentforce world, where are we going to be communicating with customers? And leveling it back up to that framework design, and then being able to say, and how the heck are we going to measure success from this? Usually, I say usually for a reason there, it usually allows us to get to a use case that deems viable or could be deemed viable with the Agentforce solution. But I'll be completely honest, a lot of times when I go through that exercise, I could do everything that you're just asking for with Flow or an Apex call. And so being able to confidently push the customer to the right Agentforce use case versus the wrong one, that's my world. But Hunter, from a technical perspective, anything from your side?
What's the question? Just how to get started with this?
Any best practice or how to get started?
Yeah. I think that if you're interested in the journey agent that we built, you can reach out to Tim and I, and we're happy to share that code. And obviously that solution at this time requires quite a bit of knowledge of Apex to support. I think longer term, two things are going to happen. I think Marketing Cloud will be more directly integrated into Salesforce, or Marketing Cloud Engagement will be more directly integrated into Salesforce Core, and the need for point-to-point integration will be reduced. And then secondarily, I think that either partners like ourselves or Salesforce itself are going to build MCPs, model context protocols, which allow you to more easily integrate an agent with an API like Marketing Cloud. And so that'll just be an add-on that you install into Salesforce, install into your agent interface, which will allow that agent to directly integrate with an external API. It's going to get easier in the near term. If you want to get started, we're happy to share our code, and people can, interrogate it and make it better. And happy to collaborate on that.
So I think just with 5 minutes left, Timo, Hunter, Tim, if you guys are okay, could we do a Q&A. Unfortunately, I was the guy in the chat saying we would hit it in a Q&A for a lot of different questions. So you guys are okay with it? Let's try to hit as many in rapid fire suggestions in a rapid fire manner we can do. So there were a couple interesting ones that I started to write down on my side. And I love everyone to add their own opinions. So one was, could we use an agent to perform cleaning? And I did air quotes in Marketing Cloud that would be normally done as a rather tedious effort. I think I would love the others' opinions. This is a very interesting one to me because what does cleaning actually mean? If cleaning is how do I keep my CRM, Marketing Cloud Engagement, and potentially even Data Cloud, data extensions for their activations in sync together, I think you got something very interesting there. But again, I'm going to be the naysayer in the room, and I'll be that guy. Is the juice worth the squeeze of you creating that agent that will cost you that much money to cleanse your data? You might look at me and go, well, duh, Jacob. Yes. But I would say, check that out before going. But Tim,
Jacob, but you don't have to do it for yourself. I mean, what I was writing earlier, we have this marketplace now, Agent Exchange. So anybody could actually productize this idea. If you're a consultant, you can productize it and distribute it across the ecosystem. So you can make it a nice side hustle, if you will.
All right,
So
so
that would actually make sense. Then you actually have to do the heavy lifting only once. And this was also to Tommy's point about like, how the heck are you supposed to actually do these integrations? Because you need skilled developers that know Apex and AmpScript and know the data models of all the related systems and integrations, etc. But you really only need to have that kind of full skill set for the initial development of the package, and then you start distributing it. Provide clear instructions and documentation, of course, and minimize the amount of coding / data entry that users have to do, like adding their specific API endpoints and credentials, etc. Also for security purposes.
So you heard it here from Timo. Everyone off to the races. Who's going to build it first?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I strongly recommend, of course, that everybody looks into Agent Exchange. If you have an idea, if you have the skill sets, or if you know people who could help you with that, then I mean that could provide you with the use case and the business case and the scale. You don't have to look at individual clients, but rather the ecosystem, and if you can productize your solution.
Yep. I think another good question, or sorry, Hunter, was there anything you wanted to add to that one as well, or no? Okay, cool. The other cool question, Jackie, I saw it. I put a little heart message in the chat. I also work in regulated industries, so I felt every bit of your question, the question was, where are we seeing clients actually use AI-generated content, especially in regulated industries? And the answer, and Hunter's smiling, the answer is we're not. Like, I have yet to find a company who will actually do that. Now, I've had plenty of conversations with enterprise FinServe customers and Typeface to try to see what we could use. But most of the time, what I'm starting to see is how can we update the process of creating the content between Adobe Workfront and Salesforce world to get the content in a more streamlined fashion that then we're delivered it in the Salesforce ecosystem. But that's been what I've seen. And Jackie, I love the question. Hunter, Timo, anything from your side on that one?
I think it's the primary fly in the ointment of the whole AI hype cycle right now is if this was safe enough for regulated industries to use, then we would be seeing the like rocket ship explosion of agents that everybody keeps predicting. But we have not established enough testing of this content and these agents to say that it's safe to implement at a big bank or a large healthcare provider. So my opinion, the biggest area for opportunity in agents right now is testing them and building your aptitude around validation. I think it's one of the most critical things to focus on.
We're right at time. So there were a couple other questions that I had wanted to talk about in the chat, but I'm going to have to drop as well. But so Tima, hand it back to you for the virtual mic, unless Hunter, you want to stay a little longer and answer some questions. But Tima, back to you to close this shop out.
Thank you all. So there was a couple of questions about recording, so I will try my best to upload this into YouTube. No promises. This is my first time with this rodeo, so I'll try to get it done there. So I provided the link to the YouTube channel in the chat, so please subscribe so you get the announcement when we have this session coming up, as well as future sessions. Do join the user group for future sessions, and I also added a Google Forms in the chat for call of speakers. So if you have ideas also, like for example, there was a great idea about data cleansing agents and also about Agentforce with Pardot or account engagement. So you can add the ideas even if you're not going to present them yourself, but if you're interested in those, just add them there and we'll get a suitable presenter to do that. And also if you know somebody who you'd like to have a session, but you don't necessarily have their permission or anything, just add them and I or somebody else will reach out to them and ask them to be a speaker. Anyway, have a really nice week, everybody. Thanks for joining, and let's stay in touch and see you in the future sessions. Bye-bye.